Okay.
What's up, everybody? Aaron the dog here, new home, same breakdown channel here with Coffee and KOs now, and I'm here with MMA Wagers today. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Is that what I should be introducing you as, or do you want me to let
No,
people know?
absolutely, man. Yeah, MMA Wagers. That's my platform.
Yeah.
That's where all the people go to get the most in-depth picks and predictions for to make some moolah.
Absolutely. That's how I came across you myself. We come across a lot of people in this sphere, and not all of them are the most, you want to kind of work with or talk with. They're kind of hard, and they have like partial results they release every week. You release your full results.
Yep.
You're very transparent with how you do, good or bad, and I think that's a key for somebody who I want to work with. So I was proud to
man. I
bring
keep
you
it
on
real.
here, man.
I try to keep it real. If I lose, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, and the amount I trust you is that we've never even talked in person. I straight up was like, you know what? I got LFA breakdowns. He's into LFA. Like,
Yeah, they've been consistent with the odds, so you gotta get on that.
Yeah, it's a really easy way to start your weekend and have a little bit of a bankroll to go into. And I mean, and for the most part, I've been able to pick the spots lately. I was telling you 18 and 19. My last picks here, so including several underdogs. So I feel, knock on wood, but I put in the amount of work I can. But yeah, let's see how we do this week. We're gonna just jump right in. We're trying to catch the little break here in between the Cage Warriors. We're gonna go a little bit over, but yeah, definitely check out.
Yeah, we got 9 minutes, but we'll do what we can.
we'll work through. Some of these are not even worth talking about too much, but we're gonna go through all 7 of the main card on Fight Pass. Just like the next 3 nights of Cage Warriors is on Fight Pass. Cage Warriors didn't have the odds available, so we're gonna skip over those.
Actually, Bodog released them last second.
Oh well, maybe we'll go.
That's
over
why I got money on it. The main card starts in 9 minutes, but I don't even care, man. Let's break these fights down. Absolutely. And I'll catch up on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go right into the main card. We are starting at the 170 welterweight division. We've got prospect, although only 1-0 as a pro out of TriStar. That is Harris Talzinick. Starting off with the easy names for me, of course. Yeah. And going up against a former pro boxer. He's been a pro boxer for quite a while now, Luis Inguez. 3-0 versus 1-0. Honestly, Harris is where I'm kind of at on this fight. He's very well-rounded, much more of a grappler, but he's gotten pretty confident with his hands as well. He did go to the decision in his debut. I don't find that to be the worst thing in the world. You like to see a guy come on and get finishes. I honestly think this could be that opportunity, going against a guy who's been over in boxing for a while, hasn't had a pro MMA fight in the last couple of years, and hasn't had a successful run in boxing. I think this is pretty straightforward for Harris, and I look for him to initiate the grappling, maybe get a ground and pound finish.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harris has this. He's the much younger fighter. He's 9 years younger, so that's something to look at.
Yep.
And Luis Inguez just hasn't looked good at all. Like, even as an amateur or a boxer, he's a 1-1 as an amateur, 4-1 boxing record. He is undefeated as a professional. They both have been undefeated since 2018. I've noticed.
Yep.
Harris, coming out of Bosnia, fighting out of Montreal, training out of Factory X and TriStar Gym. So he's in good hands, this guy.
Yeah, he looks the real deal. Honestly, I watched his decision. He was in control the whole fight, and it was against another 0-0 guy. But this is a minus 250, minus 260 odds I'm seeing right now, and with LFA, those are pretty similar to like minus 140 odds in the UFC, because there's just not a lot of knowledge here, and I'm confused at why it's not higher. I think this is a very reliable parlay piece. I get he's 1-0, but he's facing a guy who's not an MMA fighter. Who's 35, I believe, 36. Like, I just think I think he's going to squash him really quick, to be honest. I know it's hard to predict with the undefeated guy, but still.
Minus 250. I was when I like this is a surprise to me. I haven't looked at the odds yet, honestly. I've been concentrating on Cage
perfect.
Warrior, so I
Yeah.
love just diving into it while we're
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
And I was gonna guess minus 400 for
That's
Harris.
what I'm saying. I always
So-
break down fights before looking at the lines. And
Yeah.
this was one where I was like, we're gonna see an inflated. They hear TriStar, they hear Factory X.
Yeah.
Going against a guy who is an unsuccessful boxer. I just always think it's funny when guys who have struggle in one professional sport they've gone into go into MMA of all sports after.
Yeah, we just saw it with Jan and Israel. Israel's a kickboxer. When you match him up with a good MMA fighter,
Yeah.
they have problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's Harris all
Harris
day.
did open as minus 300 though. He was a 3-1 favorite. A little bit of money has come into with Louis Nguye.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the weigh-in photos tonight because they always release them later for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, around 9 o'clock we'll get the weigh-in photos. I'll post those on my MMA wagers page, and that will give us a better. Because I always like to see the weigh-ins how they match up physically. But yeah, both of us do agree on Harris on this one, and I think the odds should be higher. To be honest.
Yeah. So I love that. I love it to start here. The next one is at 145. This is between Alberto Rodriguez 2-1 and another 1-0. Chris Mccaughey. And he's another 1-0 super prospect though. This guy is super legit from what I could see on his amateur tape. 6-0 as an amateur. A lot of early stoppages, had a round 3 knockout as well, and a decision. Those are all the things I like to see out of my amateur records. I don't like to see all 30-second wins. He came in and starched his opponent, who was 0-3, in a minute. So this is really his first real test here in Alberto Rodriguez. I was able to look at Alberto as well. He is, I believe, in his late 20s. Tapology didn't have it, but I'm pretty sure that when I watched his HFC fights, they said 27 or 28. He hasn't fought a whole lot of competition either. Had a slick knee bar against an 0-0 guy, but definitely, I think a situation here where Mccaughey is just going to be the better guy. He's training out of a House of Muay Thai as well as having a pretty legit grappling pedigree. I think that this is Mccaughey all day. Again, I think it's kind of a prospect against a guy who's kind of definitely a part-time MMA fighter, to put it kindly, in Alberto. And I just think Mccaughey is going to be on another level.
Yeah, I just checked the odds. Mccaughey's minus 425.
That's more what I expected. That's more I expected Harris.
Yeah, exactly. So I noticed Alberto Rodriguez has never been finished either. Like he's a game opponent.
Mm-hmm.
He did lose his last fight by decision.
Mm-hmm.
February 7th, 2020. So he's been out a year and a bit. Chris Mccaughey last fought March 7th, 2020. Mm-hmm. So what was that the same? Oh no, 1 month apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's won by knockout every time. Seems like round 1, Chris Mccaughey, like that's what he does.
Yeah, it's pretty much
the other guy has never been finished, so it's hard to say.
No, he's never been finished, and also Mccaughey's normally a lightweight, so we're seeing how the weight cut's going to affect a younger opponent in his career. This is one I'm not as invested in. I think Harris has an easier opponent, although when people see the 0, they just get blinded by an undefeated record, and they see 2-1, and they just assume. I think Alberto gives Mccaughey possibly a tougher fight. This possibly goes to a decision, and I'm not about betting minus 420 decisions. That's not why you're betting a minus 420. In my opinion.
I just got ripped off with Ben Ellis on Cage Warriors. He was like minus 400, and I thought it was a lock. They're saying he's the next Habib from Wales, and he looked like a punching bag for a minute, just taking punches.
Yeah, I saw that.
He doesn't move. Yeah.
These Wales fighters, you got to be really careful because they get elevated so quickly, and most of them do not hold water once they really get. I mean, we'll see with Jack Shore, but
I really like him.
Yeah, Brett Johns has shown me a lot coming back from his
Yeah.
adversity also, but
I
we'll
called
see.
that from months, like when he fought Montel Jackson, who's fighting this Saturday.
Yep.
I called that months before because the odds were released. I'm like, why is Brett Johns a plus
Crazy.
200 underdog? I was just throwing money on that.
It's MMA goldfish memories, man. They remember the last fight only, and
Recency bias.
sometimes the worst thing for an opponent coming into a fight is the results from their last fight, whether it's positive or negative. I mean, we saw with Joaquin Buckley what it turned him into. The list goes on and on. Chaos, comma
Kevin
worthy.
Holland potentially this weekend.
But yeah, tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Myself and Brian Pooh Bear Battle will be back here at 8 p.m. live to break down that. So looking forward to that. Next fight, another young, there's something about these young prospects on this card that I'm definitely really liking because Brandon Lewis, he is another definition of that. 4-0, turned pro had his first amateur fight at 15, turned pro at 16. Then he's taken a couple of years off. So I'm really excited to see him back in here. He hasn't been in. Yeah, he has not been in there in 4 years. Was coming off of a round 2 win as well, and a pretty impressive win.
Do you know the reason or no?
I don't really know. I think he was kind of just. I think he was. I don't know if it was injury or not. I do have to assume there were some injuries involved with that, just because that amount of time not to take any professional grappling, not to take any sort of circuit, anything
no competition
here,
at all.
Not that they're showing, at least, and but what I was saying before he went away and what I've been able to see is a pretty legitimate all-around MMA fighter, really aggressive on the feet, throws really good kicks, puts really good pressure on his opponents. Jimmy Mesa, I was also able to look at his opponent 2-0. So this is battle of undefeateds. Last week we had a ton of undefeated battles.
Yeah, that was the headline of the card.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and so this one a little different, but Jimmy Mesa really battled through his last fight with Tyler Ward. He was losing the first round pretty handily. Second round, was able to make some adjustments and got a guillotine submission guillotine that he modified into an armbar finish, actually, which it was a really unique finish. And he was definitely, at a point where he was pretty gassed here. So this is one where I could really see Brandon Lewis coming out, blitzing in the first round, getting quite ahead. And depending on how he handles kind of the adrenaline dump of being back in competition after 4 years, having the pressure of being, frankly, a huge prospect, and, a lot of things have been expected of him since he went pro, I could see this being a stumbling block. I don't have the guts to call it, however. And I do think Brandon Lewis ends up pulling this out. But I was pretty interested in the odds.
I just checked the odds now, actually.
Still minus 230. Yeah, this is another one. This is another one where it seems the gambling public is expecting one of these kind of hyped early prospects to falter here. And I'm just not so sure about that. Again, if Brandon Lewis comes out and is able to really keep the distance with those kicks and while maintaining some pressure and then mixing in his own takedowns, I really see Lewis kind of putting on a clinic here. I'm not sure if he finishes them, but I can't go against Lewis. And at this price, I feel really good about putting these three in a parlay to start out my night. To be honest with you, I would go favorite to start.
Absolutely, man. Brandon Lewis has actually had a fight in the LFA already. That was his last fight.
Exactly.
Jimmy's making his LFA debut. Yep. I really would like to know the reason why he's been out for 4 years. I think he's just been sharpening his tools. A lot of fighters do that. Like, they get into the pro level and they want to take some time to just, train and get better overall. Maybe they see holes in their game and they want to train. He's so young, right? He's only 23.
23. Yeah, it's like going pro at 16. There's no reason to shortcut yourself.
Yeah, you're just learning on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's definitely got a lot of good guys in his team handling him as well. Jimmy Mesa is training, I think, pretty much like alone or in a very small Oklahoma gym at this point.
Yeah,
so
there's no evidence where he's training out of. It's unknown. But he's out of Odessa, Texas. At least we know Brandon Lewis is from training out of Def War. I've heard of Def War.
Yep.
In Superman's MMA, fighting out of Tampa, Florida. Let me look up Def War. I know there's a fighter out of that I know of.
Yeah, and I think he's traveled a little bit around Florida as well. Florida definitely an MMA hotbed, so a lot of times.
Oh, Alon Cruz. He just lost a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but Alon Cruz still.
Yeah, Alon Cruz
against a tough competitor in Euros Medic.
Yeah, and I did talk with Alon leading up to the fight. So I definitely know that Alon was working really well and working hard, and this is just part of MMA.
Medic become a title contender one day.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was very impressed by him. But yeah, I think we're both on the same page here. Yeah. I think that we're taking the prospect. I can understand that if Jimmy Mesa was more of like a 4-2 guy, a 5-3 guy, someone who's won a few, lost a few, had some adversity and come back from it, I would think maybe he'd be able to stretch Brandon a little bit in his return after a few years. But I think this is pretty methodical matchmaking. I think that it's a smart take by Brandon. These three to start out your night in a parlay are giving you plus money, and they all should win pretty handily.
And as a betting perspective, you always want to think what the promotion wants. Usually the promotion gets what they want. Obviously, sometimes there's hiccups.
Yes.
But the majority of the time when the promotion wants a fighter to win, like last week, I think Nasrat, I think they wanted him to win, so they matched him up with a greener opponent because he's got a name. He's in the record books.
Well, it was a short notice there. I mean, he got a tough short notice. He got tough short notice in Hoffa, actually. But there's definitely examples of that. And I mean, you look at these first three fights, and Harris or Luis, who do you think LFA wants?
Harris for sure.
Yeah,
and he's got a country.
Yeah, Mccaughey, Rodriguez, same thing. Luis, Mesa, they're looking to get headliners for the rest of their year. And I mean, the UFC is taking these guys earlier and earlier. That's a great point. I fully agree. So we got Luis here. We're going to move on to the next fight, 145, AJ Cunningham and Javier Garcia. AJ Cunningham got to watch almost all of his tape. He's kryptonite is Solo Hatley Jr. The Solo Hatley Jr. knocked him out once, and in another fight, they had a really good fight as pros where it was back and forth. It really came down to the takedown defense of Solo, and it was just enough to get him to fight. But AJ Cunningham coming off of a really impressive uppercut finish in this last fight against Charles Bridges, who, he was definitely scrapping in there, very good fighter. There's a little bit of an inactivity issue with AJ Cunningham at times. He'll kind of plot forward and not throw a lot, wait for his opponent to kind of counter and whatnot. So that could be an issue as he gets higher up into these opponents. Javier Garcia, not super impressed from what I've gotten to see of Javier Garcia. His last three, he had a submission loss as well as a split decision win and a decision loss. Overall, just there's not a lot here that's telling me AJ Cunningham should have much of a different result from his last fight. It looks like Garcia, for the most part, is a grappler. That's what Bridges was in his last fight as well. So, yeah, I got AJ Cunningham here, and I would expect him to most likely get a finish. I looked at the odds. I am not betting AJ Cunningham at these odds.
What? Why?
I don't love it. Minus 335. I don't love.
I think we were talking about a fighter before. Who? Chris Mccaughey. Why is he minus 445? AJ Cunningham should be closer to minus 500 in my opinion. Look at this guy. He's 7-1 as a pro. He's only has one defeat. Javier's 5-3. Yeah. That's a worse than a 500 record. Yeah. 7-6 as an amateur. It's almost a 7-7 amateur record. He's lost so many times he's already lost by 2 subs as a pro. He's lost by 2 subs as an amateur. This is AJ Cunningham all day by sub. It's written like this is a foregone conclusion. AJ Cunningham by submission.
Yeah, no. I'm telling you. Yeah, when I said I didn't love them, I wanted to, I don't hate them. It's just that I was hoping that the odds were going to at least get, because he kind of did struggle a little bit with Charles Bridges in that first round. I was hoping after like a less than impressive, while he still got the finish in the end, I was hoping to get a little steal here. That's all I was saying. I'm just upset that it's not as inaccurate as I was hoping it would be, I guess I should say.
I was just quickly going through it, and I was guessing minus 500 as odds would be.
Yeah, well, I was just more adjusting for how the odds have been so far this card, because we're actually seeing some pretty fair lines. So it's, but again, AJ Cunningham, he's the guy to pick in this fight.
Submission.
Submission if you're looking for a prop parlay. And again, I mean, those 4 to start your night could, you do a 3-4, and honestly, I think this is one of the more interesting fights next, but
just on a note with this fight, AJ Cunningham lost to, he beat in his last fight, like you said, Charles Bridges. Yeah. I'm looking at Charles Bridges' record, and he hasn't lost to Logan Cunningham as well. So that might be AJ Cunningham's brother. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, so Charles might have had more motivation to come in here and beat his brother because he already lost to his brother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I'm not exactly sure if Logan...
I'm not sure. This guy doesn't quite look like he's related to...
No, he does. He's bald and he looks a lot older.
Looks a little bit 39 years old. I think it's just another Cunningham.
Maybe a common Cunningham,
Maybe Bridges was like, I don't fucking care. I'm using this as motivation. And
I don't want to lose to 2 Cunninghams.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you know it's all done.
He actually won by a knockout too. He didn't even submit him, and that's his specialty. So it shows that AJ has been improving. Maybe that's why he got hurt in the round 1, because he wanted to show that he could strike. And look what I'm doing in the gym. I can take this guy down easily if I ever wanted to. But a lot of fighters do that. They want to test themselves.
Yeah, I'm just frustrated. He's the second biggest favorite on the card. That's really he's the second biggest favorite on the card when we get to the rest of this. So
you're right.
It's we'll move on to the next fight here. Yeah, and this is what, the 145 170. Yeah, sorry, I was on the wrong fight there. 170 between Steve Jones and Nikolai Ventrikanakaya.
Good try.
Yeah, whatever. Nikolai.
The Kazakhstan Borat guy.
Yeah, so he's a Kazakhstan. He does not wrestle at all, so we'll get that right out of the way with Nikolai. Nikolai is he fights a lot like a long kicking Artem Lobov. That's how I'd kind of compare him. So he's very aggressive with his striking offense, but his striking defense leaves a little bit to be desired, for sure. But he's gonna have a good 4-inch reach advantage on his opponent in this fight. At least I don't have the official reach, but 6'2" versus 5'11", and I think this is just, both guys are primarily stand-up guys, so Nikolai's not going to have to worry about being taken down, which is, I think, the route to beat him at this point. So I got Nikolai in kind of a firefight here. It is one where either guy could go down because Nikolai has shown in his 10 fights, he's 7-3. He's gotten put away also, as well as he's put away his opponents. So that is the only risk, but I think, again, he's pretty reliable here. It's another favorite for me. I got Nikolai.
Both international fighters. Kazakhstan versus Honduras. I've never really heard of that country. But
yeah.
So Steve Jones has only lost one time. It actually was by a knockout round 3, so he might have got tired leading up to that. That was also an LFA.
Yep.
The guy he lost to is now 9-3, so that's okay. Mm-hmm. The odds might be a little off here, to be honest.
Okay.
What are the odds right now? Nikolai's one. Okay, so it's not a huge.
No, it's a toss up.
Yeah, Steve Jones plus 125, Nikolai minus 145.
Yeah. So, and did you get a chance to look at Nikolai's tape at all?
No.
So Nikolai has
just knockout.
Yeah, Nikolai's like.
He did win as an underdog plus 240. He cashed as an underdog. So, maybe I saw that fight. He won by unanimous decision 5 rounds.
Hmm.
Oh no, sorry, that's Steve Jones.
Yeah, Steve Jones did.
Yeah. Oh, he hasn't fought in a year and a half, Nikolai.
Yep.
Coming
Right.
off might have a little bit of ring rust. I don't know if
Has not.
Steve doesn't get knocked out, he can make this a dirty fight and pull off a decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, the thing with Steve is I'm not sure if he's a legit welterweight. That's my biggest issue. Nikolai, don't have those issues with as much. So
Mhm.
that is kind of where I just think of size, physicality, and the style of fight this is going to be. I favor Nikolai just from those perspectives. I had a little more tape to be able to see too, which always helps with when you're picking as well. But yeah, I think this one's properly odds because I do think it's going to be fight of the night. I think it's going to be a stand-up war. I think it could be back and forth. And, with Steve only being put away in the third round, he's got toughness. He's got a chin from what he's been able to show so far. So Nikolai has shown the propensity to gas in a few of his fights as well.
Do you know how old Nikolai is?
He's definitely one of these guys who is at least in his 30s, somewhere in his 30s. You can just tell, but it's always
who's
tough.
that guy that fought Magomed Ankalaev? Nikita Krylov?
Yes.
He's only 28. He looks 37, 36. He's got like 30 plus fights. So maybe this is somebody who's.
Well, he only has 10.
He might be older than he looks or younger than he looks. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. He doesn't move. He moves pretty well. So I don't, I think that I'm okay with these odds, and I'm okay with betting on the more legitimate, more more dangerous of the two opponents here. But
yeah, you can bet this one straight too, and you're able to make some money. But yeah, let's see the weigh-in photos tonight because that physicality difference, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And after a year and a half off, also Steve Jones has fought multiple times in LFA, while this is Nikolai's first fight, possibly his first fight in the States as well.
Yeah.
So
and
those are
he does have one round 3 finish, Nikolai. Yeah. So he can go late and still finish his opponents. That's a good thing.
Yep. So we're on to co-main event to Dana White Contender Series failures. In Gregory, I believe it's Cyborg Rodriguez or something like that, or the Terminator. I bet on him against Jordan Williams and looked like an idiot, versus Al Montavo, who I did not bet on, against Tefon Nunchukwe because that was borderline. That was a borderline heavyweight against a guy who is talking about going to welterweight in Al Montavo. Still to this day, Al Montavo is talking about going to welterweight. Wow. This fight is at middleweight. However, Gregory Rodriguez got knocked out by a welterweight in his last fight in Jordan Williams in the first round. And the way he reacted to punches looks like a guy who has a chin that is gone to me. Yeah. So to me, I'm keeping this short and simple. I'm not betting Gregory Rodriguez as a favorite. And not in this fight, especially where Al Montavo's only option to win is to go out and slug, go out and throw, and if he gets taken down, Al Montavo could get submitted, I'm sure, because Rodriguez does have good jiu-jitsu, but Rodriguez is one of these jiu-jitsu guys who's fallen out of love with the grappling and in love with his striking. Montavo could catch him. Maybe I put a small wager on that because he is a large dog, but otherwise, this is dog or pass for me.
Yeah, man. It's hard to trust Gregory Rodriguez. You think he's 39, but he's only 29. That's another guy.
We don't know about these birth certificates, bro. We do not know about these birth certificates.
We need some proof on these.
Yeah.
We need some sources or to let us know. But Almatova, he did show he showed good skills in that Tefon fight. Like, he was just outmatched, outsized.
He took some shots against Tefon before
man.
Like too many, probably. Yeah.
But Gregory, I've been seeing on Instagram and Facebook, he's been putting the time in. You can see he's been putting the rounds in at the gym. Where is he training? Gregory's from X Gym, so he's with Rafael. No, not Rafael Cordero. X Gym. Mike Perry used to train there. Jacare Souza.
Yep. Yeah. He still trains with Jacare, Warley Alves,
Yeah.
Paulo Tiago. A lot of good grapplers actually. So if he needs to get realigned with his grappling game, he's in a good job.
So I hear you. Like Al's got 5 knockouts to his name. 5 out of his 8 wins are knockouts. So
It's RoboCop. Sorry, I said Cyborg Terminator.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. RoboCop. So yeah, I've never actually seen RoboCop. You're the movie guy, so
yeah.
Does he resemble RoboCop at all, or?
I mean, he doesn't look a whole lot like Peter Weller, to be honest.
No.
A little bit of complexion difference. But RoboCop's a great movie, so I'll respect there if Gregory is a movie fan.
Yeah, and he might have a resurgence here. He lost to Jordan Williams. Like, I don't know. Jordan Williams is a hard hitter. He gets high every day.
He does. I mean, it was just the way that he took those shots. He shut down, like pretty quickly.
Hopefully he rebounds here. I think this is a good rebound fight, but at the same time, I don't like the odds either. So maybe this is a dogger pass.
Yeah, it's most likely a pass if I'm being honest. But if you have to bet on every fight here, throw a small wager on the dog. But Al Montavo, even a few weeks ago in an interview, was talking about how he still got his eyes on welterweight, and he said he's using this opportunity at middleweight to have his body adjust down to welterweight. And not crazy about that against a dangerous guy prior to his last fight in Gregory Rodriguez, a guy who going into the Contender Series was a pretty decent favorite as well, and I was pretty confident in. So, we all have a bad night at the office.
He was the favorite.
Yeah, he was a good favorite too against
minus 145.
Yeah, against a respected guy in Williams. Williams was also well respected. So we'll see, but dogger pass for me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And we're going into a really good main event here. I'm super excited for this one. Bruno Souza, up and down. He's had some ups and downs, even though it says 8 straight wins. This is where you really gotta know what you're talking about and look a little more into it. Particularly the Mike Hamill's fight is one I want to talk about. I'm not sure if you got to watch that, but he's taking on Elijah John's younger brother, although bigger brother because in terms of height and weight, because this is at 145 of Miles Johns. So UFC, and he fights very different from his brother. First and foremost, Elijah and Miles. Elijah's pretty much exclusively a stand-up fighter, what he's shown so far in his career. And he's a little bit taller at 5'9", a little bit lengthier. So, not quite the stocky wrestler you assume Miles is. And I think
it's the same weight class, right? They both fight at the same weight class?
Doesn't Miles fight at bantamweight? Or am I crazy?
Yeah. What's Elijah? 145?
Elijah at 145.
Oh, okay. So 10 pounds heavier.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I do think that's actually playing a little bit into the odds here. And we'll get to that in a minute. But Bruno Souza against Mike Hamill. That's the fight I want to talk about. He got a win in that fight. He had lost the first 2 rounds 10-8. He was getting beat to oblivion by Mike Hamill, who took him down and just was eating him up. Mike Hamill has gone on to have an interesting career, fights out of MMA Lab. After the Souza, he ended up fighting Adam Borix to a split decision over in Bellator recently. So I think Mike Hamill is actually quite on the rise. So it's not the worst, I think that's the kind of guy who probably beats Souza. Souza ended up getting a split win over Kamala Kirk, who fought on the Contender Series as well. It was basically 2 guys who really like keeping the distance, moving and kicking. So that's Souza's game. Souza trains with Chinzo and Lyoto, definitely replicates that karate style, and fought it pretty much perfectly in his last fight against Santos. Walked Santos right into a knee off of some pretty perfect stand-up in that first round. And I think he can kind of do similar here with Elijah Johns. I think he can put on a little bit of a clinic here. I think that people saw Elijah Johns, brother of Miles Johns, said, oh, he must be a boxer wrestler. He's going to go in there, pressure Souza the way that Mike Hamill's pressured him, take him down, beat him up on the ground. Souza does have a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. I think that Souza, had those 2 fights, the split decision and that win against Hamill, where he really struggled. And what he showed me in that last fight against Santos, I think was really impressive. I've been able to hear a few interviews with Souza. I love Souza in this fight, man. I think he puts on a somewhat of a clinic here. Elijah Johns has had trouble before with his with his lone amateur fight where he got pieced up on the feet pretty substantially and then KO'd in the second round. I just think this is a fight where he's going to try to be putting a lot of pressure on, get his hands on Souza. I think Souza's going to be moving, tagging him with leg kicks, tagging him with body kicks. I like Souza in here. I really do.
So Mike Hamill, you watched that fight.
Yes.
And did you have Bruno winning or no?
No, Bruno was getting dominated. Before the fight, are you saying? Yeah, no. He was getting absolutely dominated in that fight. Mike Hamill won 2 rounds 10-8 with pure domination of takedowns. And then it was honestly, he was just at one point, Souza turned his head and got a few back of the head shots, and the ref said it was back of the head after. It should have been stopped before that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of like Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart last week. I thought that should have been stopped before the illegal knee, but
I agree. And I had Darren Stewart too, and I agree.
Yeah. So Mike Hamill also lost a split decision to Adam Borix, and that's legit, man. Losing a split to Adam Borix, who's like 22-2 or something.
Yeah,
a legit European Bellator fighter.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance by Hamill. Mike Hamill is honestly one of these guys that I think people are going to know more about out of MMA Lab. He is a legit guy. So I think Souza gained a lot from that and got a win out of it still. And he knows he didn't win. There's no way he thought he won. So
no, but he won his next fight by split against somebody who's already in the UFC, Camula Kirk. Yep. I think Camula Kirk has a brother that fights in LFA as well. I might be wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and Elijah has his brother, Miles. They both train out of Fortis, who's been killing it lately. Kennedy Nchikwa with that fight of the night. Ryan Spann with performance of the night. This weekend, the buys, the marriage, the Cheyenne buys versus JP buys. They both train there. Macy Chason trains there. There's somebody else, like they are just on a tear. So it's hard to count anybody from Fortis MMA with the momentum they have. And I like fighters that have siblings that also fight in MMA. I find they want to look better than their sibling, right? So they have like that side competition other than the real competition. Like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to make it. And they both want to make it at the same time to, just to have that sibling, thing. And Bruno Souza turned 25 10 days ago, actually. He just had a birthday. So he's been training through his birthday. He's sacrificed a lot for this fight. He's undefeated in LFA. He's 3-0 in LFA. Elijah's 5-1 in LFA. Elijah's an LFA vet at this point. So it's a tough fight, man. Like, this is another one where there's a lot of MMA fights this weekend and next weekend, and maybe this one's just good to watch as a fan at the end of the day. But as you said, Bruno has a legitimate chance. He's the underdog. Maybe sprinkle a little change on that.
Yeah. I really like Bruno, and the money is coming in on Elijah a little bit as well. I have Bruno at minus 140 over at 5 dimes right now. I'm waiting for it to open up on Bovada. But I'm going to take a shot on him. I think that right now we got Lyoto getting ready for the Bellator tournament. I think that gym is, definitely at a, good momentum as well. Fortis is great.
Both,
yeah. Fortis is really good. I love this main event. Who comes out of this will have a shot on the Contender Series in their next fight. So
I agree.
It's really, really.
They're both coming off mediocre opponents, though. Guilherme Santos is like a young Brazilian who isn't that great. Like, he gasses after round 1. He has like 2 minutes of good fighting in him, and then he's done. Yep. And Elijah's coming off a win over Luke Foltersack, who's like just a regional guy. He's never really fought at a high level yet. He owns his own gym, so it was more just to get his name out there and his gym name out there, just to, for publicity.
Yep.
But he showed a good account of himself, obviously. Luke never faltered. Like his name, Foltersack, he never faltered.
Yep.
And yeah, and Elijah won by unanimous decision there. So this is going to be a great main event, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, they deserve to be headlining. I think that, this is one where you like to be on the side of the dog because I think it will be a close one. I just like the tactics that Souza can possibly use with the leg kicks, the movement, to make this count. So, I mean, this calls it to end of the LFA 102 breakdown. I do 20 minutes alone, do 40 minutes with a partner. So good to know here
look at this.
for next time. But you're not going to find a better LFA show on here. So I appreciate the people who have joined us. It will be posted here as well. Again, ATM my last 19. Brandon's on top of his shit too. Follow him over at MMA Wagers, Facebook, and as well as Twitter. Really, really good stuff. And Brandon, we will be back soon. No worries about that. We'll get you on soon. I appreciate you joining me. Let's go check out these Cage Warriors fights.
Absolutely, man. Hopefully I'm up.
We're about to find out. Anything else people need to know about you before we take off?
Just follow me, MMA Wagers, all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Thanks a lot, Aaron the dog. Like, this was awesome. I love breaking down the fights, and maybe next week we'll get LFA 103 going.
Absolutely, man. All right, everybody, take care of each other out there. I'll be back in 2.5 hours with Brian Battle for the UFC breakdown show of Kevin Holland versus
I'm tuning in.
Derek Brunson. Can't wait to see you there, man. See you soon. Peace out, everybody.